welcome absolutely everyone to Broke and Gaming. I'm your host, Shay.
I am your other host, Dan, and I'm liking this new format. I think what you guys don't know is sometimes, especially when we were recording episodes about particularly shitty games, Shay and I would end our call and just be totally drained of our life forces. And I don't know about you, but I felt pretty good after recording last month.
We are on schedule, by the way.
We're actually
out this
releasing
episode
an episode when we're supposed to. So that'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I think we're going to run with this for a little while. I had a really good time just kind of shooting the shit about video games, and that's what this can be for a while. And like I said, we can cover, like, if there are some significant indie games, like, I'm sure we're going to want to talk about Silksong when it actually comes out. But until then, like, I think this is a fun way to go for the time being. But
definitely.
On that note, hey, Shay, what have you been playing recently?
It's mostly been Cyberpunk.
Still at it?
Yeah. Fuck, man. Like, I know we spent a lot of time talking about this last episode, but...
Oh, we're going to revisit another one from last episode, too, so don't sweat it.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves fucking kills this game for me, man. He's so fucking annoying.
He's very wooden. And like, wooden... I'm saying
wooden
that...
with bad dialogue. And it's fucking awful to listen to him talk sometimes.
To point out a woodenness of a Keanu Reeves certainly speaks volumes, because, like...
Right, wooden like is the baseline at this time, right. At this point.
There's a certain level of woodenness that we expect, but this is beyond the pale.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely didn't have his heart into it with, and like, he's not known for doing VO work, really.
Right.
So as a format, this isn't something that he's experienced with, but yeah, there's some stuff in there that it's just some of the line deliveries when he's trying to be aggressive toward V are just like, it just doesn't hit right at all.
No, it doesn't. Not even only when he's trying to be aggressive. Like, just when he's trying to talk, it's like, have you spoken to another person before in your life? It's just so bad, man. It's so bad. Also, like, I invested all of these like points into sniper rifles. I have come across exactly 2 in the game, and I would say about halfway at this point, a little under halfway.
Like, just in the wild?
Yeah,
because I can't
just
remember.
Drops. You get one as a reward for a quest that I just finished, and I found one that an enemy dropped, and that has been it for sniper rifles.
I mean, there are arms stores, but I don't think I really use them all.
I was gonna say they're in much the same way that, like, the Borderlands games are like shoot and loots, and you get like these different rarities of weapons. That's how Cyberpunk operates. And sure. the arms shops either have like these insanely overpriced guns that are like not particularly useful, or you think they are early in the game when you can't afford them, and you're just priced out of them as you move along, you know, and you just can't get any of them. So, like, there may have been sniper rifles in these arms stores that I just wasn't noticing, but like, if there were, they were so out of my price range that I just couldn't get them.
Yeah.
So I may not have even been looking at them either. I will say, though, I did stumble into a bug where I just bought an apartment for half price. So that's cool.
I mean, is it a bug, or was it just a dip in the economy of Night City?
Well, I'll tell you the price tag didn't change at any point when I was buying that apartment.
And it just only took half of the stuff it said it was going to?
Well, so the apartment was 80,000, I forget what the currency is called in that game, Eurodollars, I think. Eddies is what they call them.
Yeah, you're
EDs.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, Eddies. Yeah, so it was 80,000 Eddies. I only had 40,000, and I was like, wherever you buy apartments from, like, I couldn't see how much money I had, so I was just like, I'll just keep hitting A until they tell me to stop. And I bought the apartment. It took all of my money, but I only had 40,000.
Oh, okay.
So
that was a security deposit. That makes sense. Okay.
Right, yeah. I'm gonna be hit on the back end.
Yeah. You are not getting that security deposit back for sure.
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I have also been playing another game, Dan. This one was recommended by Timmy, actually, back when we still had a format for getting games that were mostly going to let us down. But it's called Styx Master of Shadows, I think is what it's called.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
It's a fantasy stealth game that is... It's good, I think. It's a good game.
You're like a goblin?
Yeah. You're playing a goblin, you're trying to steal the heart of a sacred tree from the elves and the humans so that the voices in your head will go away. So...
Oh, so it's like the good version of the Gollum game. Got it.
I guess so. Damn, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I guess it is. But yeah, they made this game, they made a sequel to it. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I am like notoriously bad at stealth games. I shouldn't say, yeah. I don't know if I would say that I'm bad at them. I'm notoriously okay at stealth games, and even more notoriously run out of patience for them very quickly. So the fact that I'm like not over this game yet is a good sign for it as a stealth game. So
if we were big enough to do merchandise, like if at any point we become big enough to do merchandise, which like I get it. Notoriously okay is a wonderful shirt idea. I like that a lot. I would wear that.
Yeah.
Email us. What? We'll make you some notoriously okay t-shirts.
Yeah. Get you some notoriously okay merch.
Yeah. Yeah, notoriously okay keychains. That could be the new podcast name. Notoriously okay.
Notoriously okay. Just rebranding.
Yeah.
For season 5.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So tell me more about it, because I've seen it. I haven't really taken a good enough look at it, because I think the cover art that displays, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, like right away.
Yeah.
Because I've been burned by Goblin games before, and that's true.
I don't know that you should pay too much attention to the lore or the story that's going on, but it's like a survivable stealth game, which is, you know how when we played El Hijo, it was like, if they see you, the level is over, right?
Yeah.
And like, you're not super strong or anything like this. Like the mechanic is definitely sneak first, then you can fight if need be. But
Metal Gear Solid style.
Yeah. You're certainly capable in a fight, and like, if you get hit twice, you're not going to die. And there's like just enough item scarcity that it really prompts you to kind of think about the layout of the level and figure out where you want to use each of your items. So it's really good at like making you pay attention to what's going on around you. And like, eye lines are not bad in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the format? Like, how is it presented?
Asymmetric 3D.
Okay.
Like almost top down, but not quite.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll have to check it out. I do like a stealth game. I like a well-crafted stealth game, I should say.
The other thing I will say about it is that like the way that they use light and shadow is a little bit ridiculous, but it's like very helpful for planning purposes, I guess. Like,
yeah,
when you get to a place, to an area that's dark, like, you are just gone, right? Unless the enemies run into you, they're not going to see you in the shadows, which again is not believable at all, but it does help you kind of regroup in a level and take a second to figure out what your next move is. So yeah, I would definitely say it's worth a shot. I just like swept through a little warehouse where I didn't have enough places to hide bodies. So there's just, if one of the guards were to look behind a bookshelf, there's like 8 people stacked on top of each other. Which, I don't know about you, man, but when I'm trying to stealth somewhere and like you have the option to carry bodies, I love making a fucking mass grave. I kinda do.
I've done it for sure. Particularly in like, I feel like Metal Gear Solid 5, I did that a bunch.
Oh yeah.
Like I tried to go non-lethal as much as possible. I mean, in games like that, like if it's an option, I do attempt to do that, because generally there's like with Dishonored, it's the same thing, where technically the quote-unquote good route to go is non-lethal. I did that in Metal Gear Solid, so I would just trank everybody and then pile them up all the time. I get a ton of enjoyment out of that mechanic.
Yeah, you find a nice rock, you hide 30 bodies behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot.
Right on.
I don't know that I can speak to the fact of whether or not it's a good game or not, but I'm certainly having fun with it.
I will definitely give it a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know why I haven't yet. I've burned through so many bad indie games, especially because it was on PS Plus. I don't know if it still is, but it was at some point.
I don't know. I got it on Xbox for like $3. So
Hell yeah.
actually, I think I got both games for like $6.
Well, without going into like our any sort of rating system, you would recommend it?
Oh, certainly. I think it only retails for 20. That's a little steep for this game, I think, but if you catch it on sale, definitely pick it up.
Right on.
It's I would say that you're going to find it in like a Walmart bin, but it's very old, so you're probably not.
I mean,
unless your local Walmart still carries like mid-level Xbox One games, you're probably not going to find this one.
Yeah.
So, otherwise it's Starfield. I think I got married in that game.
Wait. Where's the question there?
Well, so I finished the quest line for this particular character. We're certainly in a relationship, and I think that is kind of the extent of, like, you can do that with one NPC. There's like,
Okay.
you know how in Skyrim there's like that quest you can do if you like reverse pickpocket a ring into your significant other's inventory. They're like, oh, I'll meet you in Markarth and we'll get married or whatever.
Sure.
Up to the point where you would stick the ring into your significant other's inventory, I believe it's the same strategy. I've finished building affinity with one character. Let me put it that way.
Dope.
I think we might have gotten married. We went to a romantic waterfall, and there was another. We said some nice things to each other.
Okay.
So I guess we're married. We're space married now.
Excellent. Yeah, what kind of jurisdiction does space marriage have? Like, can you get space insurance with your partners?
I don't think that has anything to do with space marriage. It does have everything to do with whether or not you're a citizen of the United Colonies.
Okay, fair enough.
Which I am now.
You are.
I also moved far enough down that quest line that I have been granted citizenship.
This wasn't like a ploy to get a space green card or anything, right? Like, did you
no,
get tricked?
she's not a citizen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is she just using?
She's continually, like, she's continued to not be a citizen. Is what I'm saying.
All right. Fair.
She actually hates the United Colonies on principle.
Hell. All right.
So
this is feeling like the Americans now. All right.
yeah, Dan. What have you been playing?
I want to play it. Well, no, I want to play Starfield. It's just, what a goddamn undertaking it feels like.
It's just that it's still $70, dog.
And that, yeah. I mean, but then again, what I've been playing recently was also $70. And okay, so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am nearing the end of the game. I'm now at the phase of the grand tradition of RPGs of cleaning up a bunch of bullshit before I go into what I know is the final set of missions.
Yep. Locking down all those side quests.
Oh, and Shay, there are so many. So, this is rare for me to say. I feel like they might have put too much into this game. The variety of mini games is staggering. And like some of them are one-offs. Like I had to do this thing where I was picking mushrooms for a side quest to make a soup. And
was it to teach you the cooking mechanic in the game?
No, because there isn't a cooking mechanic.
Of course not.
No, this was literally a person who like is a character, and it took me a second to realize who she was, because I don't as much as I love this franchise, I don't know a ton of the sub games for 7. Like, I didn't play Crisis Core, either version. I never had a PSP, and I didn't play the remaster because I didn't give a fuck about Zack, because for a long time, none of us were really supposed to give a fuck about Zack. Now that Zack is like a crucial part of the story, they're bringing in a bunch of stuff that is related specifically to him, and I can't fully be bothered, but that's fine. So there's a former Turk that is hiding out in a city, and she sends you on this quest to get mushrooms. And the mini game is you have to bend a mushroom in certain ways to not damage it, and then put full pressure on the... It's hard to explain because it's not very well explained in the game either. Like, it's a visual cue thing of like, does it bend the most this way? Okay, then you're going to want to pull it that way first. And it goes 3, 4, 5 segments for the 3 mushrooms that you have to pick. And I fucked it up, and there's no redemption at that point unless you just save at the beginning of the quest. Don't care for that. And it's just reward based, like you get a lesser reward, but the rewards for a lot of these side quests are pretty much bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
The ones that have like high score things and you can do multiple times over, those are the only ones that you really have to pay attention to. So in Costa del Sol, which is like the resort town, there's like a shit ton of different mini games there. There's a shooting gallery. There's a Rocket League inspired soccer thing that you play with Red 13. There are sub-quests for the card game that they built in.
Yeah.
Like shit like that. And then, of course, there's the Golden Saucer, which has too many mini games. So in the Golden Saucer alone, there's, I want to say 5 different specific mini game things. There's a battle arena. There's a motorbike VR game. There's another card battle thing. There's a Punch-Out inspired sim thing where they keep doing this in this game where they do like the original PS1 sprites of the characters. And like you can get them as collectibles and shit, but like the wildly spiky versions of all the characters you can do in this Punch-Out game. It's very silly. Oh, and Chocobo Racing, of course. And then there's like Star Fox inspired space shooter thing where you can do a literal, it says there's a barrel roll button. So six things at the Golden Saucer. And that's just one part of the game. It's just too much. There's too much. So that's what I'm doing now. And like the battle arena has become much more difficult to get the last couple things that you need to do. Then there's a whole quest line to get the final summon in the game, which in playtime has on its own been ballpark 8 hours.
Oof.
Yep, because you have to get proto relics in each one of the regions, which are pieces of armor for the final summon. That every time you get a piece of armor, you're transported to this like feudal Japan area where Gilgamesh is like, hey, what the fuck? Why do you have my armor pieces? I want it back. And then you fight him a couple times.
I assume at no point you're allowed to say, no, dog, I'm getting them to bring you back.
No, because like they don't have the forethought of like, oh, these are yours? Oh, let me help you out. Instead, it's like, finders keepers, motherfucker. And like, it's so weird. Like at one point, Sephiroth summons Gilgamesh into the real world, I guess, to fight you. And then once you have all the pieces that you know about, after doing a bunch of mini games or side quests or things like that. Like there's one where I have to go through Turk training missions and they just digitally have the proto relic saved in their files or something, which makes zero goddamn sense.
Yeah. Well.
There are these cactuar mini games where I get points for the cactuars that I take down, but each one has to be taken down in a specific way, and you don't have control over which characters you play as when you do it. So one you're doing Aerith, one you're doing Yuffie, and like you have to adjust how you're taking them down every time in a mechanic that doesn't exist anywhere else in the game. There's 4 of those. Then I have to beat up Kid G, which is a little goblin with boxing gloves, in order to actually get the proto relic after all of that. All of this, 6 proto relics in total. Then Gilgamesh is like, all right, asshole, look, I'm going to now take them from you. You have no control over this. And I'm going to just make an island appear out of thin air, which is the feudal Japan area that you kept seeing over and over. And you're going to have to come here and battle all of the summons that you already fought as pairs, which are the hardest battles in the game, probably bar none.
Sure.
So you have to then fight like Titan and Bahamut together. You have to fight like, and it's staggering. I ended up consulting Timmy of like what the best course of action to do here is, and that's when I stopped playing because I don't currently have the time to dedicate to strategizing in a game that I don't feel like I've strategized that much. You can brute force your way through a solid 90% of this game.
Sure.
Because the mechanics aren't super complicated. They give you a bunch of stuff to use, but it's not on its face difficult for most of it. Like, if you know how to play an RPG, if you know how to play an action RPG, a lot of the stuff that happens is second nature. Then to do these, like, ultra hard battles and have them go, all right, so you're going to want to set your materia every time. You're going to want this combination of people. You're going to want to do this, 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 and this in order to take down this one. Now you have to switch your strategy up for the second part of it. Like, it's such a knee-jerk reaction for me to be like, oh, but what I was doing was working. And so I'll get back to it. There's still so many questions I have. I don't know where the story is going to end up landing. Because what I realized is they seem to be following disc order for the original Final Fantasy VII. It went across 3 discs, and that seems to be how they're releasing them as these standalone games. It does mean that at the end of the day, we'll be paying in the ballpark of $200 for the same experience that you got for $50 and $99, technically. And you can get it mobile now for like $8. Not that I think that's the best way to play this story, but
yeah,
you sure can. So like I'm trying to ignore that because the experiences have been very good overall, but it's a hard pill to swallow when I actually like think about it. So I bailed on that for right now. I will get back to it. In lieu of that, a game just hit PS Plus that I've been looking into. Like, I made cursory glances towards. I'm a big Marvel guy. Love the Marvel for everything. So Midnight Suns just went free on PS Plus.
Yes.
Have you played this?
No.
What do you know about it?
I saw very negative things about it.
Okay.
So
what? Okay. Based on,
I'm scared. I'm scared to dip into it.
What do you know from the reviews? I wasn't even aware what the battle system was in this. I didn't know the format for this at all.
Yeah, neither did I, really. I don't know that I could pinpoint anything specifically, Dan. I just know that whenever it would come up as being on... First off, it was on sale very quickly after it released on Steam, which is not a good sign.
Well, so it was sort of kneecapped by the Avengers game being just plain old dog shit. Like, do you know they took that down, the servers down for that game? Like a game that is...
yeah.
Yeah, a game that is based on the online experience. They were just like, oh man, never mind, this didn't work.
Pack it in. Yeah.
And it's not like Square to like bail on a franchise, but they sure did here.
Yeah.
So this game is a card-based...
Nope. Bye.
Hold on.
Goodbye.
It is a card-based tactical game in a way that I genuinely feel works. So you are an original character. I don't think this character has... I don't think he's in the MCU, like in the Marvel anything. You are an original character called the Hunter. Super original.
Like Kraven? The Hunter?
Well, so Spider-Man does make mention of Kraven. Nope, you're just the Hunter. You are the child of Lilith, who is resurrected because Lilith is resurrected, and you were the only person who was able to stop her 300 years ago.
Yep.
The Midnight Suns is a thing in Marvel Comics that...
Dog, I fucking love the Midnight Suns, dude.
So do I. I like occult shit anyway.
Yeah.
And Marvel has such a good tradition of dealing with the occult. Like, so they do a lot of fan service toward that. Like, so Agatha Harkness
Spider-Man
is dead.
is in there.
Spider-Man has done... well, I'm not even with that. Like, people that are fans of the Midnight Suns as a concept, or the occult side of Marvel, like, they do a lot for those fans. Agatha Harkness is recently dead, and they're going with the full good Agatha Harkness, not the MCU, like, impish trickster, like... It was Agatha all along kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, she is kind of a spiritual guide for the Hunter. Wanda is in it a ton, although you don't ever get to play... no, at least where I'm at right now, you can't play as her. There was a falling out.
She is listed as a playable character, so
yeah,
I think at some point you do.
Yeah, I just noticed that as well. Spoilers for me. But they do go with the Wanda that is like, doesn't understand how to use her powers, more powerful than she knows what to do with, kind of whatever, and then she's sent to Stephen Strange before the game starts to get control of her powers. So like they're pulling little bits from both comics and MCU stuff that people are aware of, which I think is a very smart move. But this is by no means tied to the MCU in any way. The one choice that was kind of weird is that like the voice actor they chose to be Tony Stark does the RDJ cadence and like really, really pulls it off, but nobody else sounds like anybody in the MCU. I think Michael Jai White was a great choice for Blade. There was a period of time where I would have cast him to be Blade for real. The way the battle system works is they're standalone missions that you send them on, like 3 of the characters in combination. Each character is given a deck of 8 cards to play with, and they come up randomly, and you have 3 turns per round in a turn-based situation. There's environmental stuff you can do. Like, it's not super unlike Shadowrun in the way that it's played. It's just it's cards as opposed to just straight action points.
Yeah, I mean,
it's well done. Like, it genuinely is really well done.
Okay.
I don't hate a card battler anyway, but given like an arena to play around with where you can certain actions that you can do knockback and you can hit them into environmental things, or you can do like team up stuff, or you can use a movement to shove a person into another person or into an ally or into an environmental hazard. There's so many combinations of things that you can do that it really, really works. It's not because there are bad RPG card battlers out there. I've played, unfortunately, a bunch of them. This is one of the best utilizations of what that overarching format is. But there are some like weird things. They added almost a dating sim aspect to this where there's like friendship levels, but it just comes off as Hunter being very flirty with everybody. I almost have a romantic thing with Robbie Reyes at this point. Like, there's a real bromance brewing between the two of us.
You went with the Matthew Mercer edition of the Hunter, huh?
I did. I don't know that necessarily matters, because I don't know if the dialogue changes at all, because they only refer to you as the Hunter. There's no pronouns. It's always done in the Hunter as a first person or just you. And that's true of anything where you can select, between, unfortunately, 2 binary genders, but like it's,
Dog, real quick. I know you're in the middle of something, but I just want you to know. I just want you to know that the guy that did the voice for Iron Man in this game did the voice of Spider-Man in Marvel's Spider-Man. So
wait, the guy that did Iron Man?
Yep, Josh Keaton.
No, wait, really?
Wait,
no, because the guy that does Iron Man, the guy that does Spider-Man is Spider-Man. He's Electro.
Yes, sorry, I misread the sentence. I thought it was saying that he voiced Spider-Man in addition to Electro in that game, but they're saying that he's done the voice of Spider-Man in several things.
Yeah.
And also voices Electro in that game. My mistake.
Yeah. No, you're okay. Yuri Lowenthal is Spider-Man, which is the Spider-Man in Spider-Man.
I love Yuri Lowenthal. He's
really good. Yeah, he's been the Marvel Spider-Man for a while now in that sort of media.
Has he?
Yeah, so that's the one for the PS exclusive Spider-Man games, the Insomniac games, is the Spider-Man for this. So that's really cool.
Yuri Lowenthal does the voice of Matt Miller in the Saints Row games.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
My man.
They also went with Nolan for Deadpool and Steve Bloom as Wolverine, who they've both done those characters so much in the past. So I do like that. I do like that they're pulling in people that are familiar with the characters. I think that's a good choice. So I don't know how far I am into this. I don't have most of I only unlocked one character so far. Like, you start with Doctor Strange, Nico from the Runaways, Magic with a K. Are you familiar? I mean, you know Midnight Sun, so you probably know who Magic is. I mean, you know Marvel, so you probably know who Magic is. But she's so fucking moody and like hates you so much. Like, you have these conversations and it affects your friendship, and almost everything I choose, I deduct points from our friendship level. And I'm just trying to be like a nice guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. You got to be like a dickhead. She liked negative reinforcement, and I don't care for it. But yeah, so Magic, Nico, Ghost Rider, Blade, Strange, Iron Man, and Hunter. Oh, and Captain Marvel are your starting group. I've only unlocked Spider-Man so far because Lilith possessed Venom, and so that's a double possession when you think
Yep.
about it, for good old Eddie Brock. And so you do like a couple missions specifically about that. They do a thing where it's like you can only do one mission per day. You have a bunch of things that you can only do once per day.
Yeah.
And so they'll say it's now Monday, Tuesday, like there's days of the week, but I don't know that it actually matters. Like, I don't think there's a time frame. I could endlessly do side missions and just bulk up my shit.
Just take 6 weeks to do one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I could hypothetically in-game spend 14 years just doing side quests, and I don't
just
think
training.
Anybody cares. Yeah.
That's fun.
It's really weird, but...
Hey, do you want to know something wild?
What's that?
Who do you think is the most famous person to be in this game? That's not like a voice actor. I would say the most famous screen actor.
Oh, I already know who you're talking about, and yeah, go for it. You can let people know, because it's almost a it's not an important role even.
No,
no. But
he has like one scene. But it's fucking Jason Isaacs in this game.
As Mephisto. And I don't understand that either. Because, like, outside of that...
It's because they wanted to do a fucking Morbius DLC.
He's not Morbius, though. Like, so it... like
Is Mephisto not a Morbius guy?
Not really.
Oh, he's a fucking... I'm thinking
he's
of
a
the
vampire.
Wrong guy. He's a Ghost Rider. He's a Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider is closer. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Strange, definitely. Midnight Suns, really, generally speaking, deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it makes sense for him to be in the game. Like, don't get me wrong. But you pull fucking Jason Isaacs for that, and he's like also additional voices he's credited as. And I'm like, what is happening?
They said, Jason, we spent so much money on you. You gotta be other devils.
They just told him it was lines for Mephisto, and he's like, this doesn't really fit the character. And it's like, no, it's fine. It's at that point he's
and they're just like, yeah, sounds good. Try a different voice.
Can we get a different line read on that, Jason?
Yeah, just pretend that you're like, I don't know, maybe a background character in a city somewhere.
Hey, real quick, could you just fill your mouth full of marbles and just read that line again for us? That's I saw that too, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because outside of that, Michael Jai White, probably the biggest named actor. For people like us, where we give a shit about voice acting, like, Nolan North is fucking royalty. Mercer at this point is becoming a bigger name.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mercer, I saw a really cool video the other day, also related to Final Fantasy Rebirth, and I don't know, like, this will tell you why voice acting should have its own union as well. Because as cute of a thing as this is, and as heartwarming as this is, this wouldn't fly for any other performance art, I don't think. So they brought Mercer in to do VO work because he was in Remake as just like random voices, much like Jason Isaac outside of the Mephisto role. So they brought him in for Rebirth, and they have video of him in the booth, and he's reading his lines off of an iPad. And then they show what the iPad was doing at the time, which was like, it crashes and a bunch of pop-up windows come up, and then it like, the screen goes all weird. And then it's like, Mercer, what if we told you we didn't bring you in for additional voices? What if we actually brought you in to voice one of the central characters? And then a picture comes up of Vincent Valentine. So in real time, Mercer's finding out that he's going to be voicing one of the most beloved characters in that game. But like,
replacing Steve
wouldn't
Bloom,
there be as Vincent Valentine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. But like, in any other acting like, you wouldn't get brought in to do a Broadway play and it's like, hey, by the way, you're actually going to be the lead. Congratulations, Daniel Radcliffe had to bow out of How to Succeed, so now like, that wouldn't happen. So like, the contract negotiations and all these things that would happen in a different acting job just don't seem to apply to VO work. And I think that's really bizarre. Now, Mercer was over the moon with it. He was super touched by being able to voice this character for a franchise that matters a ton to him. But in the back of my head, I'm like, ugh, VO guys should go on strike, man. Like, this is fucked. Yeah. Anyway, that was a side tangent. I just thought it was interesting. Because they posted it up like, isn't this cool, you guys? Look what we did for Mercer. So fucking weird. Okay. I really like this game. It does kind of suffer from maybe being a little too open at times, because you can just walk around the grounds of the Abbey unlocking. There's a sequential unlocking thing that you have to do where you like find words of power, and that'll open up more areas. And once you're at a certain level, you can challenge to get more words of power, and so on, to the point where like the entire map is then accessible. And then there's like little mysteries within that. And that's really cool. I love exploration things, but it's a pretty nondescript map in a Skyrim sort of way, where it's like, this is all just fucking woods. Some of them are darker than others. And like, that's great. And you can fast travel to certain points, which is extremely helpful. But it's just a bunch of shit to look at, which is great. And there's collectibles, which is great. But almost none of it has to do with the main story or what's going on. I also don't love that it's one mission per day. I think there should be just like a rest mechanic. Like, let me do as many as I can in a row without healing, and then we'll go from like, that's how I would have done it. But overall, I think it's really good. I don't think the negative press that it got was warranted. It's also one of the most researched Marvel games I think I've ever seen. There's a bunch of stuff that they mentioned just in passing where it's like, oh, that's a deep cut. Someone knows what the fuck they're talking about, which I appreciate as a Marvel fan. Like, for certain characters or scenarios or whatever to get shout outs is really cool. Because like, we're now in an age where most people's cultural knowledge of Marvel stuff is MCU related.
Yeah.
Which kind of, that's a bummer, but I'm also not going to sit here and say that everything Marvel's ever done has been fucking golden. They seem to be really choosing some genuinely good dialogue options when it comes to character-specific stuff. And there are also like nods to stuff that people would know in the MCU. And I that's just a smart play. I really like this. I'm having a ton of fun with it. And because it is mission-based, going back on what I just said, I can do like 1 or 2 days worth of runs and then put it down again. And I'm not really losing anything in the process. Like, I don't have to remember any specifics about where I am, what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, it is just like, all right, I'll do a quick supply run, and then I'll do some training stuff, and I'll upgrade this, that, or the other. And then I can just walk away and make bingo cards or whatever it is I'm doing at the time.
Yeah.
So fully would recommend this. If you have a chance to play it, I would play it. Especially for you, who I know knows this kind of stuff. I don't think, especially because we have talked about the different combinations of tactical stuff, both on here and just between you and I.
Yeah.
I think this is just a very well executed version of what I've seen done poorly.
Okay.
I don't think you'll hate it, is kind of where I'm at. I could be wrong. I've been very wrong before, but I'm digging it. I think you will too.
I guess we'll see. I just remembered another thing that I've been playing, Dan.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the fucking South Park game came out.
Yeah, let's I'm going to let you rant real quick.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to rant about it yet, Dan. It's just like a major disappointment from the first two. Like, the first 2 games were fucking great. And then they were like, what if we make it 3D? And there's a world that exists in that can still look like a South Park cartoon. And that's like the least of my gripes with this game. This doesn't, it looks like unpolished as a 3D game in a 3D world. And the mechanics of this game are like fucking all over the place. And they built it to be like a roguelike, or roguelite, I should say.
Yeah.
But I feel very confidently that I can get this shit done in one run. Like, it's not hard in the way that a roguelite might be. It just feels like they smashed a bunch of different things together and they're hoping to see what sticks so they can make the 4th one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That tracks.
Because it's like, it's a little bit like Diablo. It's a little bit like, I don't know. I just said they smashed a shit ton of mechanics together and hoped it works. And I can't think of another game that it's like off the top of my head. But it's just like very different from the last 2 games. And that is not necessarily bad. And I wouldn't even say that it's bad in this game. I would just say that it's disappointing.
Yeah.
The direction that they chose to go on it. And that's not to say that like there aren't parts where I'm having fun, but it's not the same fun that I was having with the first 2.
Yeah.
And that's
Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole are both mechanically so well done. and they're so different from each other as well, and they
Yeah.
nailed it on both fronts anyway.
Oh, you know what the other thing was, Dan? This fucking drove me insane. Like, I understand that Trey Parker and Matt Stone do every single voice on South Park, but there are times when like Butters will be talking to you over the phone or whatever, and he's using Kyle's voice.
Really?
Yeah, like I don't know if that was an intentional thing or not, but Butters is like very distinct from Kyle, and Kyle just kind of sounds like a kid. And Butters has a very distinct speaking pattern. And it's just Kyle talking to you sometimes when it's very clearly Butters on the phone.
Interesting. Yeah, because Kyle has just pitched up Matt Stone. Like, there's not really a ton of specific inflection where Butters absolutely does.
Definitely does, yeah.
I wonder, does he say anything that's specific to Butters, or could it have come from Kyle and it wouldn't have mattered, and like just the face that comes up or whatever?
No, it was definitely supposed to be Butters talking to you.
Okay. Like, there was stuff that was specific to Butters that was mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. That's so unlike them. Like, I haven't watched South Park in earnest in a long time at this point.
I was going to say, I haven't watched a new episode of that show since college, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll watch it to go to sleep every once in a while.
It's been an easy 10 years since I followed it.
Yeah.
To any extent. And that was only, like, because they don't put out a ton of episodes per year. But, like, I would check in with it occasionally just because, you know, it is one of those touchstones, and it's never been bad on its face. They've done things where I've questioned, like, "Ooh, we're gonna do that, huh? Okay, fine."
Like having Randy in the show.
Well, people like Randy.
I fucking know, man. I don't get it, but anyway.
Yeah, he's just I don't know either. But like, and definitely some stuff that was questionable for one reason or another from a sensitivity standpoint, and I get that that's kind of the point. But like, those games found Fracture But Whole and Stick of Truth found a balance that I feel like even the show couldn't accomplish at some point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you do fight a giant mutated Nazi fetus at one point in Stick of Truth, but like, it weirdly works with what they were doing, and in a way that, like, I think was handled with better care than what the show did at some points. And that's the weirdest statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This kind of came out of left field for me too. Like, I didn't hear about it in the build up like I did with the two RPGs, because I remember in the development how much they were giving updates of like, no, like, we're really building out the town for the first time. It's going to have a canon map, and that being a big deal. And the care with which Matt and Trey were hands-on and like wanted to make it like an episode, both with the art and with the storylines and everything like that, like how much they were involved. And I don't remember hearing anything about this at all, much less their involvement.
I'm pretty sure I saw my first ad for the game about a month ago.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta be honest with you, I don't even know that this was in development, if I'm being straight up. I don't know that I knew that they were making it. I thought for a long time it was like, we're not sure if we're going to make a third one. And then like, it was here.
And like a Diablo-style game would be a logical progression from what they were doing previously. But yeah, so yeah, you and I had looked into, when we talked about this over the last month, I mentioned that the developer doesn't even have this game listed on their own website, which is a choice.
Yeah. So it looks like there are 2 developers for this game.
Yeah. One is the one that they own, right?
Yeah, I think. Hold on a second. It's called Black Forest Games, which is a subsidiary of THQ Nordic, which I guess owns... Did South Park Studios not have a game studio?
I thought they did at one point.
Okay. Yeah. It doesn't look like they have a video game specific studio, which is weird because like I was almost positive that they had made a studio specifically to make the games, you know, but I guess not.
I mean, what sucks is like, I don't think it looks bad even as a 3D game for what that art style is. Like, I don't think it looks terrible just looking at clips from it, but like, man, I don't know. They're definitely not putting as much into this, although there are, you can get custom Xbox Series X consoles for this for some reason. Yeah.
I didn't even fucking see that.
Each one, you can get like all 4 of the main kids as a custom Xbox console with a custom controller that comes with it. Unless they're just skins, which may very well be the case too.
Or an April Fool's prank, which is when we're recording this episode.
We are, but this was posted on March 29th. Celebrate South Park Snow Day with 4 cool custom Xbox Series X consoles. No, it's a full console.
Doug, I don't know about that.
You can...
All right, we've been talking for an hour, Dan.
Yeah,
Where can people find us?
I think that's pretty good. Well, Shay, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We are BNG Pod on Instagram. You can search Broke N Gaming on Facebook, where we post custom artwork for every episode, as well as sales that you should be aware of that we call cheap codes.
If you want to share the show, you can do so with our hosting site, which is anchor.fm/BNGpod. And if you want to follow us on Twitch, where I will be jumping back into screaming the Shadowrun Returns game today or tomorrow, on the day of the episode drop. You can do so over on Twitch at twitch.tv/BNGpodcast. And then if you want to find those streams in perpetuity forever and ever of me just getting caught on a wagon for, 5 minutes at a time as I explore the very handmade graphics of Shadowrun Returns, you can do so by following us on YouTube, where you can find us at youtube.com/@BrokeNGamingPodcast.
And if you want to send us an email for merch requests for our Notoriously Okay line that I'm sure is coming at some point, or if you have any game suggestions that we should be looking into, or, just want to say hi, you can do so at brokengamingpod@gmail.com. Hey, real quick, speaking of Google, I just learned that...
There's a Stadia relaunch?
No. If you were following the show on Google Podcasts no longer exists. So
that's fun.
Yeah, it's being taken down tomorrow in real time, but this past Tuesday, if you're listening to us, yeah, I have to transfer all of my... Because Google Podcasts was what I was using for my podcast consumption. And now I have to transfer everything over to, I guess, Spotify. So that's cool. Hey, Shay, real quick, do you have any podcasts that you've been listening to recently?
Yes, actually. The show I'm listening to is called Divisor.
What's that about?
It was a 7-episode miniseries about a guy who wakes up on what he thinks is a spaceship and slowly unravels that mystery.
Oh, cool. Like a serial? That's dope.
Yeah. It's from Harlan Guthrie. A name that I feel...
I do know that name, but I don't know why I know that name.
A name that, with the amount of gusto that he says it in his own credits, I feel like I should know, but cannot pull it from my brain. So,
I mean, it just sounds like a combination of every country music singer, but
that's definitely true. Yeah.
All right. Well, at any rate, those are some podcasts you can check out. But until next time, goodbye, absolutely everyone.
Goodbye.